let's just throw it out there. Discipline sounds it has a negative connotation, right?
Mm.
And I know it does for me, and I think it does for a lot of people. We think, if it's a verb, we discipline our children. If you're at work, you have been disciplined. It's never good, right? And so
Mm.
it has this really negative connotation.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Parenting Blueprint Coaches, where we discuss all aspects of parenting using the foundation of understanding personality dynamics to raise independent, responsible, and resilient children. My name is Karen Wagner, founder of Teaching Our Youth and the Parenting Blueprint. Let's dig right in with today's topic and have some real talk with the Parenting Blueprint Coaches.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with the Parenting Blueprint Coaches. I'm here today. I'm Mindy, and I'm joined by
Janet, happy
and
to be
welcome
here.
to this day. Yes, I'm so glad that we could be here together today. And we're going to talk about something, and I really want the audience to give your honest assessment. And Janet, you too. What do you think of when we say the word discipline?
We just let that little moment of silence just sit there for everybody to just go, ha. I'll start while I'll interrupt all of the brain thoughts out there while they're still distilling for themselves. Let's just throw it out there. Discipline sounds it has a negative connotation, right?
Mm.
And I know it does for me, and I think it does for a lot of people. We think, if it's a verb, we discipline our children. If you're at work, you have been disciplined. It's never good, right? And so
Mm.
it has this really negative connotation, and that's what we're going to dispel today, aren't we?
We are. So we're going to dive a little deeper into discipline and take away some of the negative myths, I guess, or some of that negative thought process around discipline and approach it from the perspective of today, routines and schedules and systems. And I know I feel it myself sometimes that someone out there might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound much better, and yawning because it might sound boring. But we're going to talk today about why those things, when we have those in place, it actually creates more joy, more fun, and more flexibility. So that's kind of our approach today.
Which, did you know that the two topics that songwriters sing about most are love? We all can understand that. And you know what the second one is?
What is it?
Freedom. And when you just read those terms of today, we want to help you understand that discipline can give yourself some joy and all that. It really I thought in my head that equals freedom. Discipline equals freedom. And who doesn't want more freedom in their lives? Stay tuned. We're going to give you some hints on how that comes about.
Oh, Janet, thank you for adding that. Yes, because when you think about that and that equals, sometimes we don't put those things together to think about that is freedom. And I can say, having four kids of my own, that each one of my kids had a different idea of what structure looked like for them. And so we're going to dive into that a bit. And when I think about freedom, and it's having less stress. And I'm approaching this from the freedom perspective on that. It's less stress, having predictability and flexibility when it matters most. And so, Janet, I don't know if you want to add to some of that, but that's what I think about when I think of freedom and what can come from having those systems in place that help us to manage whatever's going on in daily life.
Well, I sometimes get these odd, poorly timed downloads from my thought repertoire, but I was just thinking of like scaffolds, right? And
Mm.
you put all of those concepts up on the scaffold. So let's put discipline up on the scaffold with all of those other really positive, wonderful words. so that they can all be on the same scaffold together and be recruited simultaneously, or at least be available to be recruited simultaneously. And it will change families. It changes routines. It changes how you do everything. So I'm all in. I agree with you 400%. I personally was a big disciplined person. And for me, discipline meant exactly that. Structure, time management, a list person, like this, because then we get to do this, or if there's extra time, or even if it's just when this gets done by 10:15, I no longer have to hyperventilate in my morning or at night, right? If you've got tweens and teens who are still up, it's just like, I just need for these things to be done. And then I get to stop hyperventilating in my day. That's freedom right there.
Absolutely. You know, what you're just describing really makes me think of, and this is a very popular term now, is that decision fatigue that we end up feeling when we have so many different things that feel like they're up in the air, they're not in our control. And so, you know, as someone who likes to check boxes, and I'm a list maker, I'm not always so good about following the list, but at least I have it written down and I have that idea that follows me throughout my day.
Yeah.
But when there are so many different decisions to make, you know, throughout the day, it can be exhausting.
And if it's exhausting for us, the mature brain, imagine what it feels like for our kids. And so now don't be sitting there, listeners, thinking, okay, well, Janet, now we're going to add one more thing to them, because this is where the twist or the shift comes in. When the discipline is in place, it actually removes the decision fatigue, because it has become the schedule, the routine, the expectation has become a little bit more routinized or disciplined, and then there's no longer decisions to be made. For example, because I may have just lost people out there, but it's something as simple as, for a child that comes home from preschool, they come in and they know there's going to, if when they know they're coming in and there will be a snack on the table, that eliminates the mom or dad, whomever, aunt, whomever it is, grandma, I'm hungry. What would you like to eat? Well, I don't know. What do we have? But like, okay, I get that choice is important, but for a 2 or 3 year old, like sometimes maybe you could agree on all of the things that they can choose from. Of these 4 things, you're going to get one of these each day, but I'm not going to tell you when, right? And then they don't have to make all of those decisions. Neither does the person preparing the snack. It's like, here it is, done. Prepare snack. Child's going to come in the door, prepare and expect to have a snack. Done. Homework, bedtime routines, morning routines.
Routines.
Where's the
Yeah.
backpack? Under the bed, by the front door, hopefully. Like these are disciplines that we can put in place that remove the decision fatigue. That was a
Well,
long
and
explanation. I apologize for that.
no, but I think that that's really important to understand as well. And so if we look at it, and I'm just going to throw this in here too, if we look at it from the different personalities, what would that mean for a child who has that dominant personality, you know, to know that there's a structure and routine?
For those
Mhm.
kids, honestly, those are the kids that you're going to have, they need to have input in the routine. They have to have input in the discipline, because we all know those kids, when it's their idea, they're the happiest. And there's no reason why they can't have some decision-making power. And so just include them in that. And then that's it. Once they're included, the discipline, the routine, whatever the structure it is that they have inputted is in place, it's done until it's no longer working, or some other reason comes up that it needs to be modified, and then be prepared to pivot. But once it's in place until it doesn't work.
And I think you brought up a really good point too about that these things can be modified. It's not set in stone. It's not like the Ten Commandments on those on the you know on those stone tablets or whatever. This is something that it with any discipline, with any routine or schedule, it's meant to be flexible as well. So that's where that flexibility comes in. It can be predictable and flexible. So, and yes, exactly for those high D kids, allowing them to have some say in what it looks like. And what about for our I friends, those inspiring kids who like to have some fun?
I would believe that they benefit as well because they want the extra time to be able to dream. I'll just call it dreaming and create. And once they've blown through their expected behavior list, whatever it is, they have time to do that. So the discipline of knowing what is expected of them suits that personality really well. Also, they just may need a range of time.
Mhm.
So it'd be like, hey, if you got 4 things to do, I expect it to be done before dinner. They might not do as well with first you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, then you're going to like that may not work real well for them. Give them a little bit of, I mean, we're talking about age appropriateness for the kids who are doing that, but they may need a little flexibility on how to do it and when to do it by.
Yes, I love that. So that's really working with their personality type and understanding that, flexibility is really important to them. They are those ones who like to be, can sometimes seem impulsive as well. And so this helps to ground them a bit and know that there are certain expectations and there's also time for that spontaneity and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and our S children, those deeply feeling sensitive types,
You go
what's going to be fabulous about this for them?
go first. You go first this time.
I think for those S types, it's that there's time for things and for them being able to connect with their people, connect with the things that are meaningful to them is really going to have them, and I'm going to say buy into this because sometimes we know that our kids can balk at different ideas that we have, but when this is something that they know what to expect, and it's also done with love and with care, for the family's well-being, I think that you'll get them to buy in because they're really going to want that added time, maybe just to snuggle on the couch with you or to read a book with you or be with friends, whatever it is that they're looking for.
Yeah, that was the word that I was thinking of as well. And expectations, I don't use that word a lot, but for our S kids, they really do appreciate knowing what is expected of them and what is expected of fill in the blank. So disciplines work beautifully with and for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I'm thinking we're going to round it out with our cautious kids, those high C kids. And um, I think again for them, because they do really appreciate being able to check off boxes and they are very much interested in structure, so this is really going to speak to them and help them to flourish as well. I don't know what else you could add to that because
That pretty much like that's their like cautious kids are disciplined in and of themselves. And so I think they would be the ones that would organically create the system, if you will, behind the discipline. Like, I could just see a really, tenacious high C kid say, well, mom, like if we're going to do this, how about we approach it this way and then we can do that? Like those are the kids that are going to come up with the framework, right? Right? Because they've got it in their heads and they're motivated to do it. And but I think cautious kids love the system behind it. So that's their happy place. They
yes.
no, they don't need to be persuaded. Like they're in. I get it. This is great.
They jump both feet first into that, and because that's exactly what they need and desire. So yes, I think
Yeah.
you nailed
It,
that.
it was funny. I was just thinking when we were running through the different personalities, I was just thinking, and you probably did this as well, I could ask, like that I had the 5 minute rule. You're like, we're leaving in 5 minutes, which really meant, grab your coat, blah, blah, blah. It's like 5 minutes or whatever, 15 from a party sometimes, whatever it is. And it's the same thing. What came to mind was my kids knew that that was a repeatable, expected, habitual discipline, if you will, system that mom used as a warning that we were getting ready to do something different. And so it's worth mentioning that when any discipline is in place, the more it is repeatable, that actually affords you way more freedom and flexibility because you don't have to reteach the discipline, the expectation, the expected outcome. You don't have to reteach it each and every time. And so for anybody that was listening to this and go, oh yeah, tell me how discipline is going to give me freedom. That's actually that's where it comes in because that's the new normal. And there's less words about it. Like I didn't have to say, by the way, in 5 minutes, we're going blah, 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 and I expect you to have your book bag, blah, 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 get your things, make sure you have your coat, get your, like none of that. 5 minutes, 5 minute warning meant all of those things that were required to transition from wherever it was that we were to wherever we were going. And they knew. And so there's the freedom. 5 minute warning, 3 words that replaced an entire potential diatribe of don't forget this. Did you remember this? Don't forget your book bag. Don't you get your coat? Did you wash your face? Did you brush your teeth? Blah, 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 blah. Like all that. 3 words, 5 minute warning.
What you just said makes so much sense because when you do that 5 minute warning or whatever it is, then they already know the tasks that need to be accomplished in that time period, or knowing that it's coming up. Okay, if I have these few things left to do, and that really cuts down on the mental load that we as parents have. It's not just decision fatigue; it's the mental load
Right.
of teaching all of this stuff.
That's
And
the
so,
freedom. That's the
yes,
freedom.
exactly.
And up front, okay, so disclaimer, getting to the point where that's on autopilot does not come like that. You're not bewitched and you get to wiggle your nose and your kids respond, or your students or your church kids that you're responsible for. Like, it's not like that. It takes a minute or longer to integrate all of those expectations. But boy, once you get there, that is just magic.
Yes, I love that because it's building the skills and the expectation that comes with being able to say those 3 words, for being able to build a routine and a structure, a system that works for your family. And I guess as we're coming close to our time here, one of the things that I would say is to look at what is meaningful to you and your family, and that can be very different than what it is for someone else. Parents out there, you may not care about your kids having, I'm just going to use something real simple, but having their backpacks right by the door in the morning. If that's not a big deal to you, then don't make it a big deal for them. It's whatever works for your family. What are the important things, the keys that make your family function well?
Yeah. And where's your trouble spot? Like during the day, is there something that can be done? Is there a discipline, a system, a structure that can be put in place to make this particular event, timestamp, whatever, work more efficiently? Because ultimately, that's the gift you give yourself, moms, dads, grandparents, caregivers, whomever. That's the gift. Add some discipline to it, and you will liberate yourself and your kids, because they'll know they get to experience competence because they're not being nagged. And competence, there should be like, that's one of my mantras. Competence breeds confidence. And isn't that what we want for our kids? Confident kids.
Mm. I think that those are great parting thoughts, things that our audience can take away today is that competence creates confidence. Confidence. I just messed that up. I'll let you say that
And you
again,
did it.
Janet.
You did it right. You
I
said
did it okay.
yourself.
Yeah. So
Competence breeds
competence
confidence.
breeds confidence. Yes.
Discipline and structure breeds competence and individuality and independence. And that whole little linear, if this, then this, then this, then this, if this, then this, that's like a brilliant little equation. And it all leads to more freedom and independent and resourceful, autonomous kids. That's what we want.
Mm, wonderful. So parents out there, as you're listening to this, remember that, it doesn't have to be, there don't have to be those negative connotations to certain words. You can, as Janet started us out with and said, that we can put that up on the podium or the bookshelf or the scaffolding. That discipline can be up there with flexibility and freedom. Look at the ways that these things might be able to help you. Just observe, at what times a day might be a little bit trickier. Is it morning? Is it evening? Is it, somewhere in
Homework.
between, or work? Yes. And where those things might be able to help you to let go some of that mental load and the decision fatigue so that you can have more freedom in your life.
And if you can't do it on your own, if you just say, I have no idea, like where to start, reach out. Like we're here, there's lots of resources around, but you don't have to go it alone. Just ask for help. People are dying. We're all just dying to help you.
That sounds great. Well, Janet, I'm going to let you lead us out then for this episode.
Well, I'm just going to say bye for now. I hope you enjoyed, got some nuggets that you can chew on for a minute. Just wishing everybody a beautiful rest of the day. Thank you, Mindy, for joining me and hosting today's episode.
Sounds great. And we will see you next time, folks.